Hey guys, so like I promised, I'm going to talk to you about my month-long solo trip in South America. I already told you why I chose South America, so let's just jump right in because I have so much to talk about. I went to so many different places, I did so many different things that this is honestly going to take me forever. But let's get started. Trying to be cheap because, there's some things you can't really avoid when it comes to traveling, like the flights. But I wanted to try to pick the most reasonably priced flights and not waste too much time either. So if anyone's ever used Skip Lagged, I basically bought a flight to Ecuador, but it had a layover in Peru. It was a lot cheaper. Peru has so much to offer. Like, seriously, anything that you can think of from any other country, Peru has it. It has mountains, it has beaches, it has desert, it has a forest, it has everything. Each part of Peru is completely different. This video is going to get broken up into probably about 3 different parts just because I have so much information and I went to so many different cities. But first, I started in Lima, which is the capital of Peru. It's the 3rd largest capital in all of the Americas. And most of the flights, if you're going anywhere in Peru, they are coming through Lima. And I stayed in Miraflores, which translates to behold the flowers. But that's the popular place to stay in Lima. So there's a shuttle bus. It's an official Peru airport shuttle bus that will take you from the airport to Miraflores and some other stops in between for only $8. Can't beat that. And I landed really late, so I was a little nervous about, landing in a country. I'm not fluent in Spanish. Like I've mentioned, Google Translate had to get me through. So it was kind of reassuring that there was a official airport bus, not trying to get robbed by people charging so much money for the taxi. So bus was nice. Cross the street from the airport, I met this guy on the bus. He was also traveling solo. It was his first time. He was from Mexico. So you would think as a guy, he was actually more nervous than I was. Maybe because, now I'm a pro with the solo travel. And he asked if he could, walk with me to my hostel so that he didn't walk to the one that he was going to try to stay at by himself. So I was like, sure, why not? I mean, I guess it'll make it safer for me if you walk with me too. But I wasn't actually scared to walk with myself. But when we got off the bus, Miraflores had people outside. It wasn't like shady. There was a few different bars. McDonald's was still open.
Here's my hostel.
But where did I stay? I stayed at the Pariwana hostel. They have some hostels throughout South America. I stayed in an 8-person mixed room. I don't really go above 8, and 4 is, more expensive, but I feel like 10, 12 people, it becomes a lot. So I think 8 is a reasonable number. But the way Pariwana was set up, which was interesting, it was in a building that looked a little sketchy on the outside, but don't worry, on the inside it was nice. The room was broken up into 2 rooms. So you had 4 in one room, 4 in the other. But they also have a rooftop, which has the bar where they have happy hour. I always look for a hostel with a bar because it's the best way to meet people. And there's usually happy hour, cheap drinks, and people love to talk over drinks, so that's perfect. But I felt like the rooftop was really cool, and to land into Peru late at night and to kind of interact with people immediately was perfect. And the hostel was very clean. The bathroom was outside of the room and you had individual stalls for the shower and toilet. But so my first day in Lima, I figured the best thing to do would probably just do a walking tour. Normally, I don't really do them. I figured it would probably be a good way to meet people. And in Lima, I didn't really have many plans besides just walking around and exploring. I had more plans for the other cities. So I go on the walking tour, which takes you to downtown Lima. And honestly, the walking tour was it was okay. You took the bus, which was pretty cool. I like taking public transportation. You took the bus to like the main square, which was Plaza Mayor, and the guide, he talked to us about the different buildings, the old cathedrals, the government building. They have some sort of like this fountain there that I think there was one year, one day when they were celebrating Pisco. Pisco is the liquor that is made specifically in Peru and Chile, but it depends on, you know, who you want to say is better. But that fountain in the middle of the plaza, like, pumped out Pisco for some day, like National Pisco Day. I don't know. That's interesting. Imagine drinking liquor from a fountain across the street from a church. But yeah, we basically like went in a square. Like, we went from the main square. He took us to like this other building to show us this yellow architecture that I guess, you know, was different. We went to this bridge which led you over to starting to where Peru's version of favelas were, which they're not called favelas in Peru. They're called favelas in like Brazil, but like they're shanty towns, like their hood in a sense. So he basically was like, don't cross the bridge. You don't want to go up there. I learned later on that they did actually have tours there. So that might have been interesting to do, but I found that out a little too late. After we went around to the different buildings, we went to this library, which was an old train station that I thought was actually pretty cool. Literally, it was like you were walking down the steps like into a train station. They still had like the tracks, but now you can sit outside along the tracks and just kind of like read and snack. They had like art installations there. It definitely was a cool vibe. If I would have went there on my own, I definitely would have chilled a little bit longer, but it was nice to at least see it. We also went to this church, which was an important church. The church is always open, so you're able to just walk in. But the part that I thought was pretty cool in the church is that he was just explaining the saints to us. So there's like 3 saints and they have like, you know, 3 altars. They have one big altar. I hope I'm explaining this properly. They have one big altar and that's displaying the 3 different saints. One of the saints, Saint Martin, you know me with names. He was the saint of the people of mixed race and for people like middle working class. So like the janitors, the barbers, the housekeepers. But the cool thing about it is that they have their remains actually like on the altars.
Gracias. Okay. ¿Usted? No.
So after the walking tour came to an end, we got to taste Pisco, which I had at the hostel because of course as soon as I land, I go to the bar and get a drink. So I tried Pisco immediately. But then they tell you to just like kind of go back on your own. They're like, oh, make a left, make a right, take the bus back, like, you know, by yourself. So a girl that I met on the walking tour, her name is Claudia. Hi, Claudia. She's from Canada. You always want to kind of meet the people that speak English, right? So we kind of like clicked, and when we rode back, she wasn't staying at my hostel. She was staying at a hostel that was like a few blocks away. Instead of doing the second walking tour, which was around another area, we decided to just explore ourselves because we were like, we didn't really like this walking tour that much. Like it wasn't anything crazy. So maybe we should just explore ourselves. So we actually rented bikes. So they have something similar to city bikes. It's really cheap. Same concept. You download the app, they give you a code, you type it in, you got the bike. And so we rode along the waterfront in Miraflores. Along the waterfront, we went down to like, it was a beach, but not really. Like it was very rocky, but you have to walk literally like all the way down underneath like the highway. So it's not really a place that you can just like ride your bike down. Like we had to walk all the way down, but it was cool to see. Our focus was to ride to Barranco, which was like the bohemian area of Lima. But of course, like city bike, it's restricted to one area, so it stopped in Miraflores. So we had to like park the bikes and walk into Barranco.
Found a new friend. Hi, doggy.
trying to find somewhere to eat. I looked up some places, and Lima, Peru in general is known for ceviche, but especially in Lima because it's by the water. So if you're gonna try ceviche anywhere, try it near the water, like it's fish, you know, makes sense. So we found this place called Canta, Rana, and it was covered in a bunch of like memorabilia, just like random stuff, but it had really good reviews.
Smile.
And everybody said the ceviche was really good, and it actually really was. I was a little nervous because I have a weak stomach, so eating raw fish, technically, I was like, Lord, please don't let me die. Like, starting my trip, I don't need to have an upset stomach and like, you know, get sick on this trip. But it actually was very tasty. And I had a seafood fried rice, which was actually really good as well. So I would definitely recommend them for food. Drinks also, the pisco, it was still pretty early. So I randomly had this obsession of looking up ayahuasca. And if anybody knows what ayahuasca is, it is a drug that people use as a hallucinogen, and it's supposed to really like help you tap into your spirit, into your core, and really see where the things you need to do in life and open up all types of senses and things like that. Chelsea Handler did ayahuasca on her show. So of course, when I was going to South America, people mentioned trying ayahuasca to me. I would have never probably come back from South America if I would have done that, because I would have had to go to a whole retreat, because you can't just do it all willy-nilly with whoever, you know what I mean? I'm not just going to try drugs with some random person that's saying that they're selling it. No, I want to make sure I'm going to a shaman. So that was out of my budget. But I found this restaurant named Ayahuasca, which was around the corner. It was like this huge house, which was like really cool. And it was like a restaurant bar, really chill vibe, had a backyard patio area. And we just like got a drink and just chilled. We were definitely there very early. So I'm wondering how it probably would have been at night. It probably would have been lit. I didn't try the food, but I'm sure it was probably good. Had some good reviews. I think the name is just what drew me into it. And then we took a cab back to my hostel, and she came upstairs to chill on my rooftop, had a couple drinks. You know, her and I talked. We talked to other people, got to know other people, and then called it a night. So Lima was very simple, nothing too crazy. You know, I was really only there for, I guess, a day and a half, because the real adventure was about to begin.